My name is Nicole Smoot, and I did the Service Learning Project, or SLP, at E.B. Aycock Middle School in Greenville, North Carolina. This SLP is a continuation of a previous SLP where I focused on my responsibilities as the testing coordinator for our school this year. After talking with our instructional coach and administration, we wanted our PLCs to be given time to look specifically at our benchmark data, which has not been a focus in the past. We wanted my SLP to tie into one of the key types of involvement, and we chose learning at home. My SLP focused on utilizing benchmark data to create learning at home Canvas modules that students could do with their families while there. These modules would hopefully engage and empower the families of EBA with various activities for math, science, and ELA. I led a professional development that allowed the PLCs at EBA to analyze and discuss their benchmark data, and then use that analysis to introduce the Learning at Home Canvas modules idea. So, I created and provided reflection sheets for each of our PLCs, math, science, and ELA, for all the grade levels at EBA. PLCs were then given time to look at the lowest scoring questions on the NC Check-In number 1 benchmark, and then have discussions regarding their data. EBA teachers utilized the data from NC Check-In number 1 to determine which standards were low performing for their PLC's content area. They discussed potential reasons why specific questions were likely missed by their students so that they could address misconceptions and reteach as needed. Students and their families would be able to work on the Canvas modules at home for students to showcase their knowledge with their family and bring parents into the fold with various contents in middle school. Teachers started creating their Learning at Home Canvas modules using the standards that needed to be reviewed from earlier in the year. This slide shows which standards each PLC chose to focus on in their Learning at Home Canvas module after looking at their benchmark data. These next few slides show a few pictures of our PLCs working together to create their Canvas modules, and a few examples of the Learning at Home Canvas modules that were created by some of the PLCs at EBA. For the teacher reviews of the PD and Canvas modules, these were some of the things that were said. That it was very informative and helpful. I thought the information was very valuable because I love data, and it's good to actually have a productive way to review the data now in PLCs. It was nice to have an idea of how to process this data. Very organized and well presented, useful information. You did a lot of prep work. It really makes us think about what we are doing and what the students can do and need to do. Thank you. I thought it was a really good way to break down the data by question overall, then by teacher for accuracy. I would keep the instructor the same, and I would also keep the spreadsheet because it helps with organizing the information. Love the concept and pre-prep tools and data. You did a really great job explaining everything. Everything was very specific, and it was noticed that you put a lot of work into it. There were some suggestions for the PD and Canvas modules, and these were the top 3. 1, more time for the PD would have been beneficial, such as maybe a 2-part PD where part 1 would focus on the data analysis and part 2 could be the focus of the creation of the Canvas modules. Using a more recent data source for the analysis instead of the first benchmark data. The original plan had been to use the most recent benchmark data. However, testing dates were pushed back due to inclement weather, and students had not taken that benchmark before this scheduled PD. So I ended up providing new data reflection sheets that correlated to the most recent benchmark once that data came in. We were unable to include social studies data in the reflection sheets that I created for each PLC. This was because social studies does not have any required, so there was no data for me to use. After this SLP, we are looking to adjust that next year so that those teachers can have better data for their students as well. I ended up sending home letters to explain the Learning at Home Canvas modules, and I also included this information in the weekly all-calls to parents, and it was shared out by our principal. I then created 2 s'mores, one to share the information regarding the Learning at Home Canvas modules, and another one with additional resources that students and their families could use at home together. These s'mores were shared on our school website and social media pages. This slide shows how many people have at least visited the s'mores that were provided to our parents, And it does give a good idea as to how many were at least aware of the different resources that were made available to them and their families. Hopefully, by providing these Learning at Home Canvas modules, the teachers of EBA have helped to engage and empower our students and their families, especially since we know how much parent involvement impacts our students and their education. Because at the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success is the positive involvement of parents.